Ah, you press stop and it just slams into the base. Oh, that's no good. This Eazao, they seem to make printers, but they don't ever use them. Because have they ever given one to anyone and said, can you just try this? Does it work? They could see straight away that you come up with these problems. They're easy software fixes, but why can't you make it so when you press stop, it stops? It doesn't crash into the build plate. Hi, this is a unboxing of a Eazao Potter, which is their newest and smallest 3D printer. On this printer, the X and Y axes are both built into the build plate. The idea being that then the clay on the extruder doesn't have to move, so there's less momentum. MDF build plate. Power adapter. Only 12 volts. It's only got a 12 volt control board. I'm interested to see what this control board is like, because that was the biggest problem with my previous attempt on using Eazao printer. The control board was rubbish. Got a little box with spares, end stop, some shitty scraper, 4 GB Elite Pro memory card. Nose picker, no, it's tweezers, rather crappy USB stick, pegs. I presume these are to fix the build plate. So even though this build plate looks like it can be placed anywhere on here, I think it's only this big. What else have we got? A little rubber thing, is that a spare foot? No. Extruder nozzles, a spare bearing, and extruder screw. We've got touch sensor. This is how the Eazao always do their touch sensors, like this. You just place it on the board and then the nozzle comes down and presses it, and it's got that offset built into the program already, so that it doesn't matter how high your build plate is. Problem is you end up placing it on the build plate and then the nozzle comes down and you look at another direction, it slams into the build plate rather than end stop. This is a little, I don't know. Thank you for your support. Find your manuals here at their website and on YouTube. I don't believe you can find it on their YouTube. I've looked at their YouTube. Their YouTube has absolutely nothing worth watching on. This got to be the extruder arm. This is the motor reducer. Fluff in the... Alright, what's the extruder like? The extruder screw. Interesting, interesting. I like that I can turn this so I can tighten without having to spin everything, but presumably they had to do that, otherwise it wouldn't work. Do I have to? Is that ever going to tighten? It's got to have a seal in there somewhere. I suspect that's the seal. Alright, well that's another thing that's going to have to be replaced when it gets too squished. And this, okay, this is full of shit as well. I should brush this. I'm going to brush all the little filings out of this and get them in the plug and then short circuit the whole thing. Let me have a look at the manual again. Install the 4 M5 25 bolt. Let's try and see where my M5 screws are. They weren't, well, the M5 screws were missing, definitely from the packing, but I had to search through my store and I found some. So let's get back to trying to fix together this printer. You have to use a glove on this rod, it's quite sharp. This fixing installed on the cartridge. Well, that side's done. On the instructions, it's asking me to put M5 screws through this bar and through down onto this plate. Alright, maybe it's better to put it in through the other end. It's a nice idea, this case, but it's a bit wobbly. Okay, ZN stop. We'll work that out later. I might be ready to try and switch it on. Alright, I think we know what we're doing. Okay. Oops, this is a problem. No, 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 off, off. Ah, shit. Already broken the nozzle. The problem is, it wants to home onto this. But if you don't have this underneath it when it tries to home the Z, it just keeps on going. And if I home again now, home all. Oh my god, what's it doing? It's already too low. This is a issue that I had before on the previous machine. If you ask it to home and the nozzle is already too low to put this under, you end up running to try and put it under and it doesn't fit, and then try and switch it off as fast as possible before it crashes into the bed. Let's try again. Leveling. 0.5. So now I'm hoping it's going to try and go here. It's going to home that. Then it's going to go down. And it's just about nice. And you get a bit of paper to put underneath it. For however much this printer is, how much was this printer? It's like almost $1,000, isn't it? And you're still doing this by hand. I don't know why you couldn't have mesh bed leveling on a clay printer. It's a little bit loose in the center, but it'll be okay. One thing I want to know is how high can you move the putter, because in the previous model, the Matrix, unloading and loading the putter takes forever. On slow. Slow, it's doing something. Is it going in? The motor's running. So let's put normal. Normal works. High load. Okay, doesn't work. High speed, the motor just stalls. Seems like this, either the motor or the control board is underpowered. I suspect it's the control board that's underpowered because it's got a 12 volt power pack. So how's it? Install the clay barrel. Okay, so you need to take the motor out every time you want to install the clay. You have to remove the whole rear motor, install the clay. Let's see how that process goes. See if it's fun or not. Pull out. I've tried doing this before and it's difficult. I have not found either of these methods to be very fun. Now the method to load the clay that they show, I can never make it work. What I do is I get the clay that's been mixed with a little bit more water, so it's a little bit softer, it's a bit sticky. But it's too sticky for me to squeeze into the tube by hand, so I use a spoon. First of all, I wet a bit of the tube so it slides in more easily. And then just scrape bits. Starting off with quite small bits so I can get it around the edge nicely. Because I'm pushing a little bit each time and then squeezing it down, I can be careful that I don't create an air bubble underneath it. Small bubbles don't seem to matter too much for the print quality, but large bubbles create an explosion at the end of the print. Clay has to be a little bit softer than they recommend, otherwise I couldn't get it out. So I'm used to using slightly softer clay. I couldn't roll it into a tube, like a tube shape like they're suggesting. I could try pushing it into the clay like they're talking about, but I find that creates air bubbles. Unless you're very, very careful, you end up putting an air bubble in between pull the tube in one time, pull it out, then the next time you push it on again, and then there's an air bubble gets trapped between the two. And that can be quite a big air bubble. Anyway, this gets you fit. Okay, that's probably about enough. I want to move the putter back. Putter. Let's try high again. No. There's just nowhere enough torque on the motor to use high. Normal, unload. Okay, so I have to use normal. Can you even see that moving? I can't see it moving. So this is the thing that's going to drive me mad. It's so slow. It's painfully slow. Horribly painfully slow. Squeeze. Okay. That should give you a spanner to do it. Is that going to be necessary? It's actually loosening this side at the same time as... now it's even heavier. There's no way of it holding itself up under. It's a little bit flexible. Why they've made this so flexible? It doesn't need to move at all apart from up and down, yet it's... durian vase. What's a durian vase? It's quite cute looking actually, isn't it? Let's try and print it. I think it's ambitious that you'd ever get something that high. Ideally what you would on a printer like this is something that changes the acceleration depending on the height of the z-axis, because this level of acceleration is going to make it collapse. If it's going to get to that high without falling over... oh no, 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 it's printing, it's falling, it's falling, it's falling. Oh no, oh no. Confirm, stop. And then then the head just falls down as well. So far, this printer is a good idea and an okay attempt, but it's not doing what you want. Alright, it does want to home again. Under extruding a little bit. Surely they could make the file work straight away. Well, they're not using silent steppers, are they? Here's the pot. It's okay, it's quite a nice fine nozzle, but it's under extruded the base. I'll probably just stop it, I think. Ah, you press stop and it just slams into the base. Oh, that's no good. Let's have a look at the instruction manual a bit more. Manage machine settings. Does it switch off the motors straight away? Steppers off. Right, I don't want it to do that at the end. Anyway, I'm gonna cancel that because I don't really want to stop the motors if it keeps slamming into the end every time. Save to removable disc and eject. Okay, it hasn't slammed in the pot this time. The motors have stayed on. I want to test to see whether they'll stay on until I come back to it, or whether after a few minutes it'll slam back into the pot. I suppose I'll leave it running for a while, maybe get a cup of coffee and come back. Didn't even last 5 minutes, and the motor cut out. Slammed into the pot. Oh. And it's bent the nozzle as well. I mean, it makes this printer pretty useless. I'll talk to Eazao and see what they say.